Listen to The Mark of Zorro by Johnston McCulley, Level A2, Oxford, Reading University, Part 1.
1. This story happened many years ago in California, in the town of Reina de Los Angeles. A dangerous criminal appeared in the area. His name was Zorro, which means fox in Spanish. He rode on his horse wearing a black mask and a long black cape. Many people were scared. Others said that Zorro only stole money from the rich. Some people even thought that he was not a criminal but a hero. However, the governor had another opinion. He offered a lot of money for catching Zorro. On a stormy night, Sergeant Gonzalez was sitting in a tavern with his friend, Don Diego Vega. "I'm sure I will be able to catch this Zorro," Sergeant Gonzalez said. "I don't think he is that smart and quick like people say. I'll fight him and kill him." "Please, let's not talk about him," Don Diego asked. "I don't want to hear anything about fighting or killing. Besides, Zorro only fights with bad men who steal from the poor or hurt natives. Why do you want to kill him?" "Because I want the money that the governor offers for his head," the sergeant laughed. "Oh my God, this is all so boring," said Don Diego, and left. Although they were friends, Don Diego and Sergeant Gonzalez were very different people. The sergeant loved wine, women, and parties. Don Diego, on the other hand, was a quiet and calm young man. Usually, he preferred to stay at home. He didn't have any hobbies and wasn't interested in women, work, or anything else. However, he was rich, so he was considered a good match for any girl in town. 2. After some time, a man in a black cape entered the tavern. He locked the door, then turned around. Sergeant Gonzalez saw a black mask on his face. "Zorro!" he shouted angrily. "What are you doing here?" "I heard that you beat a native 4 days ago," Zorro replied. "I've come to punish you." "What?" Gonzalez laughed. "We'll see about that." He jumped to his feet and drew his sword. However, he was too angry and drunk to fight cleverly. He attacked Zorro, moving heavily across the room.
More world-famous books that you can read, listen to, and learn new words from in the Ewa app. There are so many genres for all levels. Check for yourself. Appewa.com.
Suddenly, someone knocked on the door from the outside. "We have Senor Zorro here," Gonzalez shouted. "Coward," Zorro said angrily. He knocked the sergeant's sword out of his hand and pushed him to the floor. The sergeant closed his eyes, prepared to die. But Zorro just slapped him on the cheek. "This is for the native man you hurt," he said seriously. Then he jumped out of the window and ran away. The landlord opened the door and 2 townsmen ran in. They were all wet and cold from the rain and wanted to drink some wine. Gonzalez wanted to follow Zorro, but it was too late. It was very dark outside, and Gonzalez couldn't understand which way he should go. So he went back to the tavern. There he found Don Diego sitting at the table. "My friend," he said worriedly, "I heard that you fought with Zorro just now. Did you kill him?" The sergeant's face turned red and he looked away. "No," he said quietly. "He ran away." What? Don Diego laughed. But didn't you want to kill him and get the governor's reward for his head? The sergeant was very ashamed. I'll definitely fight him again soon, he said. I'll run to the fort right now and report the situation to Captain Ramon. Perhaps he will send me after that criminal. With these words, he rushed out of the tavern. Don Diego Vega smiled to himself and turned to the fire. 3. The following morning, Don Diego Vega rode out of town. He went to the country house of the Pulido family. Don Carlos Pulido was once very rich, but then he made a mistake. He joined the wrong political party. Very soon, the governor took most of his land. Now the man was poor, but he was still proud of his family name. Don Carlos was very surprised to see Don Diego Vega ride up to his house. He went to greet him, and the two men sat on the terrace together to talk. Yesterday I talked to my father, Don Diego began. I will soon turn 25. He believes that a man my age should have a wife. So, I've come to talk to you about that. I saw your daughter in church not so long ago. Do you wish to marry my Lolita? Don Carlos guessed. If you allow it, Don Diego replied. Don Carlos smiled, thinking, it will be very nice if Lolita marries into the great Vega family. He called for his daughter. Soon the girl walked up to them. I just asked your father for your hand, Don Diego said. Do you wish to marry me, señorita? I don't know yet, she began. I need an answer, Don Diego went on. It will be too much trouble for me to come here one more time. It's a long and difficult ride. I'm sorry, señor, but I will only marry a man who will win my love, Lolita said coldly. If it's a problem for you to ride a few miles to see the girl you want to marry, then there is no life in you. Do I really have to ride here when the cold wind blows from the sea? Don Diego asked. I can get sick and die. But if it is necessary that a man sing love songs and play guitar for you, then I'll send one of my servants to your house tomorrow morning. I'll throw hot water on his head from my window, the girl cried, turned around and left. I believe she didn't like me that much, Don Diego said, looking confused. 4. During the siesta time, Lolita went out into the backyard. Of course father wants me to marry Don Diego, she thought. A man from such a rich, important family will certainly improve our financial situation. But he has no heart, so he will never love me. What should I do? She sat down on a bench and soon fell asleep. After some time, a soft touch on the shoulder woke her up. She saw a man in a black mask in front of her. Before she could call for help, he covered her mouth with his hand. Don't worry, señorita, he said quietly. I won't hurt you. I've been on the road for a long time and got tired. I came to your father's house to have some rest. But as soon as I saw you, I realized that I needed to speak to you. You are so beautiful. He took away his hand and she said in surprise, You are... Señor Zorro, he finished. You are the only man who thinks I'm beautiful, Lolita said sadly. That's impossible, he said. I'm sure you have a lot of suitors. Only one, she replied, and he refuses to court me. Perhaps he thinks that his money is enough to make any girl marry him. He's just stupid, Zorro laughed. Doesn't he know that courting is what keeps the fire of love burning? Senor, you must leave, Lolita said worriedly. If somebody sees you here, you'll be in trouble. He took her hand in a quick movement and kissed it softly. Lolita blushed and turned away. When the man left, she closed her eyes, thinking, if only Don Diego was like him. 5. In the evening, as the Pulido family was having dinner, Zorro appeared again. As soon as Lolita's mother saw him, she fell unconscious. I am not going to hurt you, Zorro said to Don Carlos. I just need some food and drink. In fact, since you and the governor are enemies, I can say that we are on the same side. You may have your food and drink, Don Carlos replied, but first let me take my wife out of the room. Don Carlos took his wife in his arms and carried her upstairs. On his way, he called a servant. Quick, go to the fort and bring some soldiers for help, Don Carlos told him. Zorro is here. Soon Don Carlos returned. He ordered to serve dinner for the guest. While they were eating, Don Carlos asked him a lot of questions. He wanted to keep Zorro in his house until the soldiers arrived. He is acting strange, Zorro thought. It's like he doesn't want me to go away. After a while, Don Carlos said, I'll go and ask my servants to pack some food for you. As soon as he left the room, Lolita turned to Zorro. Quick, senor, you must leave. I'm sure my father has sent for the soldiers. When Don Carlos came back, Zorro got up from the table. It was not very nice of you to call the soldiers, he told Don Carlos, but I will forgive you. After all, I am a wanted criminal, and I have no hard feelings for you. Good night. With these words, he pushed over the candlestick on the table. At once, everything went dark. For a moment, Lolita felt a man's arm around her waist. Then a soft voice said quietly into her ear, Until later, señorita. The soldiers rushed into the house. Sergeant Gonzalez and Captain Ramon were among them. They were surprised to see that Zorro was gone. 6. The sergeant took his soldiers to ride after Zorro. Captain Ramon decided to stay in the house. He looked at Señorita Lolita with interest. That devil must die, he said. I heard that he did terrible things in the north. He killed men. He hurt women. He started to tell terrible stories about Zorro. A closet stood in the corner of the room. Suddenly it opened and Zorro came out. That's a lie, he exclaimed. I must make you pay for these words, senor. I thought you ran away, the captain said in surprise. Not me, but my horse, Zorro replied with a smile. He knows when to run away and when to come back for me. Well, you will definitely not run away from me, the captain shouted. The men started fighting. Soon, Zorro ran his sword through the captain's shoulder. Ramon fell to the floor. I'm sorry for the awful scene, Zorro said to Lolita, but don't worry, he will live. With these words, he jumped out of the window. His horse was already waiting for him there. Soon after that, another man arrived at the Pulido house. It was Don Diego Vega. As he entered the room, he saw Lolita cleaning the cut on the captain's shoulder. "I heard that Zorro was there," Don Diego said, "and I wanted to make sure that you were all right." When Lolita finished her work, she went to sit by the fire. Don Diego followed her. "Until this day, I have never seen your daughter," Captain Ramon said to Don Carlos. "But now I'm very interested in her. Will you allow me to marry her?" 7. The following morning, Don Diego was preparing to leave. He wanted to visit his father in the countryside, so he invited the Pulido family to stay at his house. "While Zorro runs free, it's dangerous for you to stay in your house. My house is a much safer place," he explained. Don Carlos was very happy with the invitation. "If people learn that I am friends with Don Diego Vega, it will certainly improve my position in society," he thought. So the Pulido family traveled to Reina de Los Angeles immediately. In the evening, Don Carlos and his wife went to visit some friends. Lolita stayed alone in Don Diego's library. She walked around the room looking at Don Diego's wonderful book collection. Most of these books are about love, adventure, and fighting, she noticed in surprise. Is Don Diego really interested in such things? Perhaps I was wrong about him. At that moment, a man walked into the library. It was Captain Ramon. Lolita jumped to her feet and looked at him in fear. "Yesterday, I asked your father to allow me to marry you," he said. "Certainly you will choose me over this stupid man, Don Diego. Believe me, I'll change your life for the better. I'll ask the governor to be kind to your father, and he will receive some of his land back. I'll do you the honor to ask you to be my wife." "You will do me the honor?" Lolita asked angrily. "That's not how you make a marriage proposal. Leave, senor. I will never marry you." The captain smiled and walked toward her. "You must pay for your rude words. How about a kiss?" He caught her with his strong arms. Lolita tried to hit him, but she could not reach his face. The captain was about to kiss her, but suddenly they heard a voice from behind their backs. "Stop it, senor." The two turned around and saw Zorro at the door. Lolita let out a happy cry. "Go down on your knees and say you're sorry to the señorita," Zorro said coldly. Captain Ramon's shoulder still hurt, so he couldn't fight. Without a word, he went on his knees and said sorry. Then Zorro caught him by the arm, led him to the door, and threw him out of the room.
Part 2 is coming soon. Send this video to a friend who likes learning English. And now, here's another free audiobook.